We just experienced the most shocking trade deadline in NBA history. Everyone was on the edge of their seats just wondering what player would be moved next. So let's go ahead and grade every major trade that happened during the deadline and determine whether or not teams made franchise-changing trades. Of course, let's start with the biggest move. Kevin Durant. The Brooklyn Nets traded KD and TJ Warren to the Phoenix Suns for Mikal Bridges, Cameron Johnson, Jay Crowder, and 4 first-round draft picks. For the Suns, the grade will be an A-, and we know that may shock many of you and would want us to give this an A+, but let us explain why. For one, the Suns lost Mikal Bridges in this trade, who is a Defensive Player of the Year caliber defender. The Suns are 8th in defensive rating this year, and Mikal Bridges hasn't missed a game for the Suns, so he definitely had a major impact on their good defense this year. He's a superstar defender, and there's a lot of great scorers in the Western Conference like Ja Morant, Luka Doncic, Kyrie, Brandon Ingram, Kawhi, Paul George, Steph, Damian Lillard, and so many others. So it is crucial to have a player who is great on the defensive end to slow down and contain those players. Now, the Phoenix Suns have no elite defensive stoppers. They do have Torrey Craig and Josh Okogie, who are good defenders, but they aren't Mikal Bridges. Bridges was a disruptor and lockdown defender who could guard 1 through 3, meaning guards and small forwards. And given the names of the scorers we just mentioned, having a player like Bridges would be a luxury. And not only did Bridges bring defense, but on the offensive end, he's averaging 17 points while being a great three-point shooter, shooting 38% on 4 attempts per game. And speaking of great shooting, they lost Cameron Johnson as well, who was the Suns' best sniper from deep. He's shooting 45.5% from 3 on nearly 6 attempts per game, which means he's one of the best shooters in the entire league. Johnson and Bridges were the key reasons why the Suns are 5th in three-point percentage. So now, without their best 2 three-point shooters, the question is, how far will they fall when it comes to shooting the 3? As for Jay Crowder, he brings a solid two-way game, but he won't be suiting up in a Nets uniform because he was immediately sent to the Bucks for 5 second-round picks. And now let's get to Chris Paul. He's having sort of a down year. He's averaging a career low in points, and he isn't the same defender he once was. But nonetheless, he is still averaging over 8 assists per game, and he's shooting pretty good as well, so that's not too much of a negative as long as he stays healthy. Devin Booker is still a scoring machine, netting 27 points a game with good efficiency. But just how reliable is he going to be in the playoffs? He's already dealing with a groin injury and has missed over 25 games so far this season. And then you have the DeAndre Ayton and Monty Williams situation. How long will it be until they clash heads again? Those are all questions that need to be answered, and that's why the trade is an A- on the Phoenix Suns side of things. But now for the Nets side of the trade. We'll be giving it a solid A, and here's why. A lineup of Spencer Dinwiddie, Cam Thomas, Mikal Bridges, Dorian Finney-Smith, and Nick Claxton is a really underrated lineup. On the offensive end, you have 3 scorers who can consistently give you 17 to 20 points per game, especially given the fact that Cam Thomas is averaging over 30 points over his last 6 games. And on the defensive end is where things look really good. You legit have 3 or 4 Defensive Player of the Year caliber defenders in Mikal Bridges, Dorian Finney-Smith, Nick Claxton, and Ben Simmons. And don't forget, they still have Royce O'Neal, who's a really good defender as well. So we really don't get the jokes that are being made about the Nets having nobody now. That just isn't true. Do not get caught sleeping on the Nets. They are still a playoff contending team. But now on to the next trade, which was a huge 3-team trade. The Lakers sent Russell Westbrook, JTA, Damian Jones, and a 2027 first-round pick to the Utah Jazz for Jared Vanderbilt, D'Angelo Russell, and Malik Beasley. Then the Jazz sent Mike Conley and Nickeil Alexander-Walker along with 3 second-round picks to the Timberwolves, which was a decent trade, and we'll give that one a C+. But for the Lakers, this trade is an A-, and not because D'Angelo, Vanderbilt, or Beasley are superstars, but because they are amazing fits on this roster. D'Angelo Russell is averaging 17 points and 6 assists while shooting 39% from 3. He'll provide borderline elite off-ball scoring next to LeBron James. He can spot up or run the offense at a solid level, which is something the Lakers needed desperately. He's also an 85% free throw shooter, which is also a good sign. The Lakers' biggest issue on the offensive end was their lack of scoring when it's just LeBron or AD on the floor by themselves. Now they have a guy who isn't afraid to create for himself and others. And for Malik Beasley, it's kind of a similar story. He's another great fit to LeBron due to him being a nice off-ball player who can shoot and create for himself when needed. He's a solid cutter as well. He's shooting 36% from deep, which is actually a low for him, but he is a career 38% shooter, and playing with an all-time great passer like LeBron will get him more than enough open buckets. And for Jared Vanderbilt, which we think without a doubt is the most underrated part of this trade, he brings unreal elite defense. He can defend 4 to 5 positions almost better than any defender in the NBA. And don't forget, he he was once a Defensive Player of the Year candidate for the Minnesota Timberwolves, and he single-handedly transformed their defense into a pretty good one. So pairing him alongside arguably the best defender in the NBA, Anthony Davis, is sure to cause havoc in a great way. For the Utah Jazz side of things, they get an A+, because their main goal was to clear some cap space and they accomplished that, and they'll most likely buy out Russ. So we think they're pretty happy with this trade overall. Now on to the next trade. The Nets sent Kyrie Irving and Markieff Morris to the Mavericks for Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, a first-round pick, and a couple of future seconds. For the Mavericks side of the trade, we'll be giving this one a B+, and here's why. Is Kyrie a great player? Yeah, obviously. But he's so unreliable and unpredictable that it's almost impossible to give this trade anything higher. Plus, he's injury prone. So not only that, but shipping out Dorian Finney-Smith, their best defensive stopper, is surely going to make them worse on defense. And we all know Kyrie is a below average defender. And for some of the reasons we went over in the Durant trade, we'll be giving the Nets a B+ as well. They now have another elite defender in Finney-Smith, while also bringing back Dinwiddie, who's a really good shooter and scorer with playmaking and great leadership abilities. And now for one of the more surprising trades, the Nuggets sent Bones Hyland to the Clippers for basically nothing in return in a massive 4-team trade. And fans were surprised because he's a solid second-year player, averaging 12 points, shooting 38% from 3 and 86% from the line, proving to be the Nuggets' hot microwave scorer. But here's the real reason they shipped him off. Bones left the bench early during a game versus OKC on January 22nd, mainly due to him not getting the minutes he thought he deserved. He played only 11 minutes that night, and he played only 9 minutes the game before that. And the thing is, that wasn't the first time he left the game early like that on his own. So the Nuggets and Bones Hyland definitely weren't seeing eye to eye, and in result, they had to trade him in order to keep the chemistry in Denver solid. In this 4-team trade, there was the Lakers, Nuggets, Magic, and Clippers. The Lakers received Mo Bamba and Devin Reed, which is a solid A grade because Mo Bamba can stretch the floor at a very high level, shooting 39% from 3 on 2.7 attempts per game, and he's a good defender with an enormous 7'10" wingspan, which is the longest in the league. And if they decide to play him, Devin Reed can maybe play 5 to 8 minutes per night and provide good defense and decent shooting from deep. So overall, a good one for the Lakers. The Nuggets received Thomas Bryant in this trade, who's played very well rebounding and stretching the floor for the Lakers this year, but his lack of defense really held him back. So we'll give this move a solid B. As for the Magic, they received Patrick Beverley, and honestly, you can never go wrong with picking him up. So we'll give this one a solid B as well. He's going to be a great leader and energy guy for any team in the league. The rumor is the Magic will most likely buy him out, but if he does stay in Orlando, he could provide some solid D, and they could use it, because they're 21st in defensive rating right now. And now on to one of the lesser-known trades. The San Antonio Spurs sent Jakob Poeltl to the Toronto Raptors for Khem Birch and a few picks. The Spurs are rebuilding, so they don't really have a main goal with this move other than to get the younger players more playing time. But for the Raptors, this is a B+. Jakob Poeltl will provide really good paint defense and depth, and Toronto is already 8th in points allowed in the paint, so adding Poeltl will make their paint defense even better. But what do you think? Which trade do you think will pay off the most this season? Let us know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.